Bruce Buffer here, and we're being broadcast around the world. Thanks everyone for joining us on the Solar Objections live action role play. I have the pleasure to introduce a big UFC fan, fellow poker player, Solar Pro, and my friend, Solar Joe.
Let's go. We are back for another week on Solar Objections live stream. Yes, we are back again. We are an hour early today, everybody, so don't be surprised. I do have a Zoom meeting in an hour, so we had to go a little early today. But remember, homeowners always come first, right? But today, you guys are in for a treat. We have Leesa Mansen in the house. And if you guys don't know Leesa, she is super experienced in the corporate world, sales world, and now bringing that in the last 3 years into the solar world. She has lots of success, and she's willing to come on here, help us out, and give her keys to success and a little Q&A afterwards. So Leesa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited, Joe. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show. I try and watch as many episodes as I can. So it's great to learn so much just from watching the Solar Objections, and I'm just grateful to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. And I've learned so much from you, working with you and talking to you. Everybody watching, Leesa is really has a lot of knowledge, and she's really here to help us with her, how she became successful and how she is successful. So if you have any questions, go ahead, put in the comments. If you have your own keys to success, put in the comments. You have any objections you want Leesa to handle, she will be ready to do it. But if you have any other questions or comments, go ahead. This is the time. Say hi. Go ahead, put a thank you in there. But if you want your name shown, you have to go to the bottom of the post and click on the StreamYards link, or it won't show your name. We'll just say Facebook user. All right. So Leesa, we're going to happen today. We're going to do a little, not really training. We're kind of just going with it here. But I have here a little segment called Leesa's Keys to Success. Are you down with that?
All right. Let's do it. Yes.
All right. So I'm just going to bring it up. And, for you, Leesa, you can actually, we'll go back and forth. I'll ask you some questions and then kind of go through each one. But you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background and, more about Leesa Mansen?
Well, sure. So I live here and I'm in Arlington, Texas, and I'm married. I have 2 dogs. They're my stay-at-home kids. I call them my guard dogs. I spent over 20 years in corporate America, selling everything from corporate training and professional development to gourmet food and beverages. When I got into the solar world and introduced to it a few years ago, it's just made all the difference in the world. So I was able to use a lot of my corporate experience when I'm having conversations with homeowners. So that's what I do. I've had the opportunity to travel the world, travel the United States, and now with solar, I can meet with homeowners via Zoom, just like you and I are meeting Joe.
So this is awesome, right? Like you could just sell solar just by opening up your computer and talking to your screen. Cool.
I know, how cool is that? I could retire my passport.
So Leesa, one of the things I really admire about you is that you really take action. That's one of the first steps that you have on here. One of your keys to success. Can you tell us a little bit about that and maybe a story of how you took action and that really helps you, with your success?
Absolutely. So that's one of the keys, I think, for every kind of success is you've got to take action. Success just doesn't happen. It's because of the effort that you put into it. So, again, taking action every day. I wake up every morning and we've been doing a group call just to start the day off right with good nuggets from professionals. Everyone is invited to that call. We'll share some information about that later. And act immediately. Because it's so easy. Like I keep my little task book. Even here, it's like right here at my desk all the time, that I have to write things down and I check it off as I go through, and I try not to get distracted. And that's kind of a challenge to do. But
so tell us about that, Leesa. Like you plan out your day, your week, your month. Like how far along do you plan out, and how micro steps are you to when you're planning that out?
Well, I'm always thinking 90 days in my future. Because if I want to have money in my bank account, it's happening today. That check's going to be deposited in December, January. So I'm on a 90-day track. And then I look at what I want my goals to be, how many contracts I want. And then everything that I'm working on today, I know will come in fruition in the form of money in my bank account in probably December, right? So you take that down incrementally and say, how many phone calls do I need to make today to keep that funnel going? So it's a daily, weekly, monthly goals that we have to achieve. And so you think in your mind, where do you want to be 90 days from now? And then work backwards to what you have to do today to get you there. And I'm very visual. I have to see things. And so I've got a big board that I'm constantly changing and updating that I look at every morning when I come in.
Like a big whiteboard?
It's a big whiteboard. Yes, it is, Joe. It's a big whiteboard. And it's got colorful markers.
Just clean that off, white slate, and then you start over again?
It's just, it's just constantly changing, and I color code things. I've got, green, red, orange, and blue up there.
That's important too, right? Like you have to simplify things where it's, it sounds like complicated, a lot of work, color coordinating, but actually it's simplifying your life, making it easier for you to do things, right?
Oh, absolutely. I've used green for my contracts, so I know exactly what milestones are my contracts are in. I'm using blue for what do I need to do, specifically what kind of certifications do I want, what kind of trainings do I want to take and complete. And then I'm using another color for those hot prospects, those homeowners that are on the fence that I just got to push a little bit more. And I review those every day. So.
Do you do like automated stuff too, like CRM and?
I'm working on that. I have in the past used automated CRMs to do some of those messagings. I think some people have used Go High Level. I'm looking into another one right now called Hatch. We haven't launched it yet. So it's something that I'm constantly trying to learn to be more efficient, to do that follow-up and that messaging. Because I do everything from canvassing and knocking on doors to trying to do more with social media, and I need a way to track those people to go back and reconnect with them.
I don't want to skip by this, take action every day, because it sounds so easy to say. It's like, just get it done, right? But is one of those times when you just don't want to get done, or you're just so negative, or things happen, how do you get yourself to say, you know what, I still got to take action no matter what? How do you pump yourself up?
It's all mindset. We hear the terminology mindset, and it's real easy to, stay in bed late or just, let something else distract you. And that's why I keep things written down on a board to kind of know what that why is. And then I'm hungry. And so I know that if I don't get things done today, that I'm going to go hungry in, 30 days or 90 days. And I don't mean that literally, obviously, but I just know that it takes consistent motivation, and it takes the momentum. You have to get a momentum going. So I like to work and accomplish a lot of things, but I also like to have some free time and some time off. So. But my solar business never stops. So even though, and this is kind of cool with what we do, is I've been on vacation with my laptop and closed deals from the beach. So you can do that. We're so fortunate in what we do with this industry.
It feels weird just saying that, doesn't it, Leesa?
I know. I don't even feel. Yeah, it doesn't even feel like doesn't feel like work, really.
Doesn't feel real, right?
Right.
It's amazing, and that's the thing is, you can have problems in life and things can happen, but you can't let it affect your business. You can't affect your solar business. Just like if Aaron Rodgers had a fight with his girlfriend, he's not gonna let it affect his when he plays in the game on Sunday, right? Like you have to make sure you separate the two, right?
Right, exactly. You got to stay real focused on that. And have a mentor, have a workout partner, something that you can call and bounce it off of.
That is so important. It's like, you could say like, go to the gym every day, go to the gym. And you could want to go to the gym every day. But if you don't have somebody else calling you on, or you have to call somebody, hey, let's go. Your percentages are just going to be lower, that you're not going to go as much as you would, right?
Right. Got to have that motivation. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to the next one, unless you want to add anything here.
Oh, let's go on.
So the next one, Leesa's keys to success is talk to people. Tell us a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. I've met some amazing people, over the last 20, 25 years. And I've done that because I kind of put myself out there. I I've had people comment, well, you seem to meet people wherever you go. And that's because I try and initiate the conversation. And I've been able to make connections just by asking and approaching people and talking to them, whether I'm at in an office building, whether I'm in a neighborhood, whether I'm in a restaurant, on an airplane. Just talk to people, take interest in who they are and what they do, what are their experiences, what do they do for a living, what kind of family do they have, what their background is, because you'll learn so much just by talking to people and being open to listening to their stories.
So also like just say yes. Like if it's a decision, like should I call this person or not? Just do it, right? That should be. There's no
I know. By the
problem
time
to
you already thought and tried to talk yourself into doing it, you could have already had the call made.
I'm talking to myself right now. How many times are you like, oh, should I call or not? Like, why are you even questioning it, right?
I know. I know. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was little, my sister was 11 months older than me, and she would, contemplate why she had to unload the dishwasher. We had certain chores that we had to do, and by the time she's complaining about how long it's going to take to unload the dishwasher, I've already got it done. It's like, well, the more you think about it, that's time that you should spend doing, right?
100%.
Spend that time doing.
So when you're talking to people, let's get into like kind of what you say and words, scripts, things you do, because we're talking like talking to people, right?
Right.
When you're talking to people, like you're not being over salesy, because I could tell it by your nature, you're not over salesy, right? So you're not saying, hey, do you need solar? Do you have solar? Anybody need solar? Like, what's your way to like approach people? What words do you actually say? If there's like a script you would use or something?
Yeah, well, it depends on what the environment is. I mean, if I'm out, intentionally knocking on doors to set solar appointments, that conversation's a little different than if I'm sitting in a restaurant, or on an airplane or, in a mall where I'm meeting people. So those are two different scenarios. If I'm just having a casual conversation with somebody, say I just, met at church or I met at a restaurant, I always like to, my husband and I would like to go, now don't take this wrong, but so oftentimes when we go out to eat, we like to sit up at the bar. We find that's a great place to meet people. And so, get a little drink, have some appetizers, and just talk to people.
That's
right?
a gold nugget. That's everybody. That's a gold nugget right there. Like just eat at the bar.
Be in the bar. And and I ask people, because I used to travel quite a bit, I can kind of tell a person who might be kind of new in town, or maybe they're just coming in from a business trip. But we've met some, really interesting people, just out making ourselves available and talking to people about that. If I were to meet you, we're sitting there and I just ask you, hey, is this your neighborhood? Do you live in this area? Where are you from? Oh, fantastic. You're on here in business. Tell me a little about what you do. You have a family.
You're genuinely, naturally a friendly, nice person, right? So this comes easy to you. How about people who's just like, oh, I hate people. I don't want to deal with anybody. Like, so how do they get to talk to people?
That's a great question. And I think you have to, be kind of careful and read, there's different ways to read people. You can tell when somebody's having a bad day or if they're just genuinely kind of a grumpy person all the time. And so those conversations can be different. I think it starts with reading that personality. Are you working with somebody who's naturally talkative, or are they more reserved? And are they just wearing a big old chip on their shoulder for whatever reason? And so those conversations just come with, I think, trusting your instinct. When you meet someone, you're putting off vibes, right? And those vibes get carried on to that next thing. It's a we're humans and we each have our own way that our wavelengths communicate. And so I have, sat next to somebody and you can tell right away, this person is not having a good day and maybe I need to move over, or that conversation is going to be short. And I've had those days too, where I'm like, I'm really kind of tired here.
Let me ask you a question. It's a little bit of a funny one, but honestly, tell me, have you ever got a solar lead on a grocery line?
I have.
I knew it.
Yes, I have.
Tell me about it.
So actually, sometimes I wear a little Powur shirt. I've got some that my sister-in-law custom made for me that's got just a Powur solar consultant, and that's a conversation starter. But yeah, then I'm talking to people and it's like, where do you live? Oh, I'm in that neighborhood too. And were you impacted by that freeze that just happened in January? Oh yeah, we were out for 4 days or 5 days. And oh, my cousin lives down in Austin, and oh, the experience was terrible. And then, that's a good segue into, well, have you ever looked into maybe being a little bit more independent and into solar energy? Are you renting your house or are you owning it? And they're like, yeah, I own a house. And so those conversations come up that way. So do you know anybody, do you know anybody that was impacted by that storm, or do you know somebody that, owns a house? So those are, you see somebody that's driving a Tesla or, an EV vehicle, that's kind of a good indicator that maybe they want to do something good for the environment, right? I mean, you see that those people, and it's like, hey, if you guys looked into solar, you've got solar for your car. How about that for your home?
Because if you believe in solar enough, like you really know the value, you should be talking to every single person you know about it, right?
Yeah, we should be. Who was it that said, don't be a secret agent, right? Don't be a secret. And also, okay, so I live in a neighborhood. I've been here for over 25 years. I have solar. I got into the solar industry with a traditional solar company, and I was kind of afraid to talk to my neighbors, right? I didn't want to be that person. And then, Joe, you know what kind of bit me in the butt was one of my neighbors got solar. I saw that installation going on.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, who are you using for solar? You're going solar? They're like, yeah, we're going solar. I said, I'm a solar consultant. And they're like, why didn't you tell me?
Yep.
Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you knock on my door? Why didn't you tell me? And so if you're not talking to people, somebody else is, right?
That's 100%.
And that was a huge wake up experience for me. Oh my gosh, I was just like mortified.
Yeah, that's next to having a family member go solar without telling you. Oof.
I know. Yeah, at least give me the opportunity to get that proposal. They said, Leesa, we would have gone with you if you would have told us.
Yeah, but you don't let that happen again, right?
No.
Hey, I got a few more Leesa's keys to success, but I want to get some comments in here if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Ray Satterfield said, hey, Leesa.
Hey, Ray.
Daniel said, hello from Dallas.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Daniel.
So speaking of Dallas and Arlington, on October 1st and 2nd, we're going to be doing the Solar Mastermind Conference. October 1st and 2nd, pretty excited about that. Got training in Dallas. Wanted to bring that up. So go to solarmastermindcon.com. What's that?
That's fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, you're in Arlington. That's exactly where it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So Christopher York said, happy to be here.
Hey, Christopher.
Hey, add a comment. I'm sorry, did you say? Go ahead.
Yeah, Daniel.
So Eddie Fernandez wanted to say, love that you're outlining the today's actions, calls, emails, or tomorrow's income.
Mm-hmm.
And Facebook user said, yee, Joe. All right. Okay, so we're going to go back to Lisa's keys to success. The next one is something I'm sure you do no matter what, but treat everyone with dignity and respect. Can you tell me a little bit more what you meant by that, or what do you mean by that?
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter to me what somebody's title is. I've been a vice president of a big company, and I've been, and I knock on doors. I do what I need to do, and I've met some remarkable people. It's not about the title. It's not about what is in their bank account. It's everyone, regardless. They need to be heard. They need to be seen, and they need to be respected. And I just share that from the bottom of my heart because I've met people that weren't seen, that didn't feel like they had ever been respected before. And when you talk to them and you hear their story, it just becomes very humbling. Joe. So, we encounter people that want to go solar, but their credit's not where it needs to be. Don't ever make them feel bad about that. Let them know that there's light at the end, that there are people that can help them get that credit back up. And, we have ways that we can help them make money through our ambassador program. I've just met some remarkable people, and I've traveled internationally, and I've seen real poverty in Peru and in China. And, these are people that are, raising their families. They want to be good parents. They want to be good people. And so I want to live by that model. I want everyone that I meet that I talk to know that I truly respect them.
That's so true, because sometimes, I don't know if you know, but some solo pros judge based on just basic information about people, and they hurt themselves at the end of the day. But that could hurt the whole industry too. Like, you can't judge people, right? Like, you can't judge based on what they look like or anything like that, right? Or do you?
No, I mean, especially because I have literally, I drove down to Waco one time to meet with a homeowner, and I pulled up to their house, and it was kind of an older house, and the guy was, it was a mechanic, and he was, really dirty clothes, and I went in, I gave the whole presentation, and he wanted to go solar. He ended up writing a check for cash. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I hope I can get him qualified. I really hope he's got at least a 640 credit score, in the back of my mind. But when it came down to doing it, he's like, no, what's your cash price? And out comes the checkbook, and he wrote it out for cash. And I've been in the opposite, where pull up to a big, mansion, and they've got brand new cars out front, and they're like, yes, let's do this. They want to go solar, and their credit's in the tank. It's a credit issue. So yeah, don't prejudge anybody.
And even racism, like sometimes it's like you have natural prejudices, and Indians families have kind of the worst, where they get treated differently by a lot of solo pros because of their past experience with whatever they had. How do you feel about treating people based on what they look like or where they're from?
Oh my gosh, you know what? Again, it's the same. The dignity and the respect. And I understand culture, and culture is very important. There's a lot of like Indian populations. You need to know, take your shoes off, be respectful. In just some of the different cultures that we have, we're such a national country, especially here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I know where you are in California, right? Just understand and respect everybody's culture. Not every culture, especially now in COVID, I'm a hugger. I like to shake hands and hug people. That's been a real challenge over the last year and a half, because, I got to do this. Here's the elbow. Yeah. But so just understand those cultures in the way that certain people were raised, and that's just very natural for them in that environment. When you're working with a homeowner and you're in their home, you kind of mimic the way that they treat you. You want to read their body language and respect that too.
Well, Leesa, you have a couple of fans that want to mention you. I'm not sure who this is because they didn't put their name in, but Leesa Mansen is so authentic and genuine. She is always a professional. Her personality and professionalism is contagious, which is why she is so successful. Thank you, Leesa, for all of these amazing gold nuggets.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind. Thank you for that.
And this is not me writing it in the comments either. This is a genuine person. So you have fans out there. I'm sure you already know, though. And then Ray wanted to say, Leesa, you are the kind of people we need in the solar industry.
Thank you, Ray.
I agree with Ray. And Ray, you are also the kind of people we need in the solar industry, Ray. Thank you for being here. Another one, Facebook user said, thank you, Leesa.
Oh, thank you.
And we're not even done yet. Let's go. All right, so I got a couple more for you. That this is your keys to success. It's kind of to talk to people, but it's a little different, right? Like, don't be afraid to ask. What do you mean by that?
Right. So many people miss opportunities because they don't even ask for it. They don't even ask. And I look at some of the places that I've been, and it does come, just from one, whether it's asking for the sale, right? We know that probably 60% of the salespeople never even ask for the business. They finish the proposal, they finish the presentation, and then they're just kind of nodding their head and thinking, okay, what do you think? No, it's asking for this. Okay, let's get this project going. All we need to do is get a copy of your driver's license. Let's get you qualified. We can start the project. You'll get a call from a project manager. Let's get rolling here, right? So you're asking, you're just leading them on, you're bringing them in because it's a good thing to do. Just don't be afraid to ask. I've gotten some amazing, I got a job working internationally by putting myself out there and saying, this is something that I want to do. And, and I was able to explore the world, working with small manufacturers just by asking for it.
You know why you weren't afraid to ask?
Why am I not? Why?
You know
Why?
why? Is because
Why?
you were prepared,
Uh,
right? And that's part of it. Like you need the confidence to be able to ask. And in that preparation gives you the confidence to be able to get those asks in there too, right?
You're right. Your preparation is everything, and preparation goes back to that mindset. I do a lot of role playing with myself. I put myself in certain scenarios or certain situations to ask, how would I handle this situation? Because when it comes up, then I'm already prepared. I've run through those scenarios in my mind over and over again. But
Just because it came into my mind right here. What about don't be afraid to ask questions? Right?
yeah,
Like you don't know
absolutely.
something, find out. That's a good thing. Not to know something is a good thing. That means you're learning it, right?
You want to ask questions because people like to talk about themselves. And when you can ask them really genuine questions to try and get there, especially when you're working with somebody who is kind of sitting back like this and very timid and they're kind of in their shell. If you just have the questions and then take interest in what they have to say and truly listen, that's really important. Yeah, so ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. So this goes back many years ago, and I'll share this with you. I was on an airplane. I was traveling from San Francisco back to Dallas with a stop in the Phoenix area for a layover, a short layover. And sitting next to me on the flight was a quadriplegic. And he sat right next to me and he came on. This was right after, this was kind of during the Chinese New Year. This was a huge festival in San Francisco, Chinatown. And, he sat next to me and I just started talking to him. And he'd really never had anybody talk to him like that before. He was extremely adept at everything. I mean, he was showing me pictures. He's doing all this. And I asked him, I said, what happened? He said, I was literally the baby that was dropped on its head at birth. And I went, whoa, whoa. And he opened up. He now has a PhD. He's a doctor. And he specializes in helping people who are newly paralyzed, right? And helping them transition from being an active, person to somebody who's now might be confined to a wheelchair or worse. It was a really interesting, life-changing conversation with me. We got off that airplane. He was going to Phoenix as a coach for a wheelchair basketball team.
Okay.
And I had about 45 minutes between my flights. And when I got off the airplane, I went to a little coffee shop and got something to drink. And I noticed him sitting there in his wheelchair, and I just observed not one single person stopped to talk to him. Nobody looked at him. They just kept walking by. And that's what I mean when I say people want to be seen, not in a rude way, but in a way that, you're important and you're special.
No, 100%. No, I appreciate that. Before I get to the next one, it came to my mind too, is like, don't be afraid to ask, like investigative questions when you're talking to homeowners.
Yeah.
Like, ask more questions. Some people are just like, they're trying to ram something down homeowners' throat. Like you have to kind of like figure, like you're a doctor and you're trying to figure out what the problems are and solve it with the things you have. You can't do that if you don't ask enough questions.
You want to know what the symptoms are. What are what are the reasons for going solar, and finding out all those questions. Everything from what are your future plans for your home? Are you adding on an electric vehicle? Are you going to be building a pool, adding an extension? You have children leaving for college. Oh, you've got a baby on the way. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, twins. Wow, that's going to be fun. You're going to need more electricity.
That's definitely all parts of the equation, right, Leesa?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got one more. Unless you want to add anything else on, don't be afraid to ask.
Oh.
All right, so next one is pretty much you saying the word no hasn't killed me yet. Tell us what you mean by that.
I'm still here. I'm still here, and I've had thousands of no's. I've had thousands of no's. Everything from business, asking questions, contracts, working with homeowners, and sure, I've had my share of disappointments, but you got to keep getting back up, and you got to keep knocking, you got to keep talking, and you got to keep taking action, because truly, everybody has, what was it? I was reading it. I read a lot. And who was it that said the average person has like 10 people that show up for their funeral?
I don't know.
I mean, think about that, guys. Do people really sit back and think about you, when you're gone, when you're like, you had that appointment? I mean, so that no that somebody's giving you, don't take it personally. Just don't take it personally. Just get out there and I've heard the old adage that says go for no, because after X amount of no's, there's a yes. And keep those numbers. And I do a tally if I go out, like do a little bit of canvassing or door knocking. I do a tally of, I got to know. And then no, because I know that sometimes there's going to be a yes at the end of that, right?
Yeah, if you make $5,000 after 100 door knocks, then you're making $50 a house or whatever the numbers are.
Exactly.
I'm not going to math.
I mean, you do that math, you're right. $5,000, $6,000, and I'll take 100 no's for that.
Right, you'll keep knocking all day long. You just keep getting paid, right?
I know.
So I have one more, and then I want to ask you some personal questions from me. But last one here is morning mastermind motivational calls.
Yes.
So I know you are really big into this, and this is huge. And I think you want to recruit more people to be joining you on these morning mastermind motivational calls. So please, this is your stage. Tell us more about it and your passions about it.
Oh, absolutely. No, I love this. We started this over a year ago, and now it's myself and Randy Jason out of New Jersey that we're hosting a call every morning. It's at 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, and 5 a.m. on the Pacific Time. And we're reading great books. We've read everything from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill to we're currently wrapping up tomorrow Grant Cardone and the 10X rule. So we'll finish this tomorrow, and then starting on Friday, we'll start Vantical Prospecting. So a new book coming out to really help people get engaged. We read for about 20, 25 minutes. 10 pages of a good book every day should be on everybody's to-do list.
And right? I hear that you read to everybody, so they don't have to read. They just listen to you read, right?
Right. Yeah, and we record the call. We read, and then Randy leads a discussion about what it is that we just talked and how can we apply that to our solar business, to our personal life, to any other business that we have going on. So there's always, nuggets. We've read probably 15 books in the last year. And they've all been, from the classics to The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. We've read Jack Canfield, The Success Principle. So yeah, so it's great. Everybody's welcome to join in. And
I did put the link in the post, Leesa, because I know I told you I wasn't gonna be able to. Actually, was able to do it. So if you guys want to the Solar Objections Facebook group in the post, the link will be on the bottom, towards the bottom. You guys can join in, Leesa and Randy, on morning mastermind motivational calls.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, come on and join us.
I'm definitely, 5 a.m. is a little early, but I'm going to make it happen because I just get to listen. I don't think that should be too hard.
Yeah, come on.
Sounds great. Anything else you want to add? What's the next book you guys are doing, you said?
We are starting on Friday called Fanatical Prospecting. It's called, Fanatical Prospecting.
Fanatical Prospecting.
Yes. So it should be a good one. It's about helping people, let's see, helping people with all of their, everything from emails to starting conversations to door knocking, keeping that pipeline going. So it'll be a really good book.
If you need help prospecting, which I think every single solar pro needs, would be a good book to read, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And you get to listen to Leesa read it to you every morning if you like. And do you guys do Sundays and Saturdays too?
Nope, not Saturdays or Sundays, but it's Monday through Friday.
Good to know. There's a couple more comments. Daniel wanted to say, you are the best, Leesa, 10X.
All right. Yeah, it's a 10X. This is great. Love this book, guys. If you haven't read it yet, you can get it on Audible or just order it on Amazon. But it's really, wow.
Grant Cardone knows a thing or two, huh?
Uh-huh.
And Ray Satterfield said, it's like coffee for the soul.
Yes. Yeah, so join us, Ray. Just grab your coffee. I don't know what time zone you're in, but grab a cup of coffee and sit back and read, read with us. I'll do the reading, or, people read along, and then we just discuss it. There's so many little nuggets that we can pick up on.
So everybody watching, we're going to do a little Q&A. So we're going to take some comments right now for Leesa. Have any questions, anything you want to ask her, objection you want to handle? We're going to go into it right now. Is that okay with you, Leesa?
Yes, absolutely.
Solar Pro Q&A. Gotta make it fun, All right, so I have some questions for you, and I know this you're so three-dimensional. There's so many things about you, and we're just touching the iceberg here. But I know you did what you did before solar. You were in the corporate world. But can you tell us a little more about that, and how was the transition to solar?
Oh, sure. So I worked in the corporate world for over 25 years, and at the particular time, I was working for a training company that was headquartered out of Kansas City. And with that, I was a national account representative. So I was implementing training programs for Fortune 500 companies. They eliminated their field team, which was me, and wanted me to move to Kansas City to work out of their corporate office. And that just wasn't anything that I was interested in doing, because this is my home and my family. So one of the people that I'd worked with for that company, who was also eliminated, she went to work for a solar company in Kansas. And it was really interesting. She contacted me. She said, Leesa, she said, you should really look into the solar industry. She said, it's very lucrative, and I think you do well. And I thought, solar? I mean, it was just because I was used to working for a very long sales cycle. Some of the programs that I was putting into place could take a year to 18 months, to get a signed contract. So when you're talking about thinking that far in advance, that's where I knew what I had to do to get that contract underground, because these were, big contracts for big companies. And so I started looking into the solar industry because I knew I had to get another opportunity. And I did, and I started doing some research. I looked on some things on LinkedIn, and I Googled, solar, and I contacted a couple of companies here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and went to work for one of them, and didn't know anything about solar. So I had to learn a lot on my own. They offered very little training. And so I learned a lot, kind of just trying to figure things out. Then I did find a mentor with that company. I found out who was the top salesperson. Okay. And this is key, right? Success leaves clues. So why try and relearn everything on your own if you can find a mentor or an expert in that area that's willing to work with you and teach you? And so I did that. I did a couple of ride-alongs. If anybody knows who Chris Shabongo is, so he was with this other company, and I just approached him. We had been recognized that, like, in a month as being like the top salesperson for the month. And I asked him. I said, would it be okay? Can I ride along with you? Can I see what you're doing? And he said, yeah, come on. And so I did. Spent a day with him, and he closed 3 solar contracts in one day.
Wow.
3 in one day. And I thought, man, I want to grow up and be like Chris. And he's a little different. He's from the Congo and I'm from Texas. So he has his own style. But
Chris Shabongo actually did the one of the live streams. So if you guys want to watch his live stream, go into the
oh yeah, I've seen it. He's wonderful. He's wonderful. And you talk about mindset. He teaches on mindset a lot. But anyways, that's what I did. And so from really not knowing a whole lot about solar to trying to learn as much as I could by watching successful people, and then doing my own research and learning. I was actually in the first year I was recognized as one of the top producers in the Dallas market for that particular company. Nice. And then so it was and the thing with solar is, people can typically make a decision that same day. And if they have to think about it, they think about it for a couple of days, right? So it's a very quick sales process versus where I came from, where it was a long process because I was having to get a bunch of people to agree on something. And so that's where with the solar, it just you're working with the CEO of their castle, of their home.
And we complain about getting the spouse. You're like, that's easy. What are you guys talking about?
I know. Yeah, I was having to get the CEO, the CFO, the risk manager, the product manager. It was like trying to get them all at the same table and agree. It was like, are you like I'm herding a bunch of cats? Sorry.
You're like a producer almost, huh?
Yeah. So the transition was. It took me a little while. Here's the thing. I wanted to know more than I really needed to know before I started actually selling, and I think that holds a lot of people back because. We want to know. I want to know everything before we jump into this. And we just talked about this with Grant Cardone today, and he's saying no. He said just take action. Take action, and you'll figure it out, right? So if you're new to the solar industry or any industry, don't think you have to wait and know everything before you start talking to people. You don't.
Especially with solar, right? Like,
yeah.
You could just be a great appointment setter, get power bills, and you literally make as much money as the most experienced solar pro.
Exactly. Find a mentor, you do a 50-50 split, and that's still really good money. That's an average of $3,000 per person.
But not only that, you're making sure the homeowner's taken care of.
Exactly.
You can make lots of money, and then homeowners like, this is terrible. Solar's terrible. And then ruins your reputation. The solar's a reputation.
Yeah, and that's so true, Joe, because there's so many people out there that don't understand or they don't take the time to learn that particular utility.
Yes.
And like here in Texas, there's like 80 different co-ops, right? And each one has their own way of dealing with solar. And so it's so important to know that research. And I've knocked on doors. I've talked to people and they want to slam the door in my face because solar's a scam. And you're like, what? Wait a minute, let's have that conversation, right? We're asking questions here. What happened? And then, my uncle had solar down in so-and-so, and it doesn't work. And so this literally, truly just happened a few days ago. And I was with another solar pro, Natalia. We like to go together. And the lady said, solar doesn't work. Oh, no. We went to get an appointment with this house, and they said, no, I don't want to meet with you. We're like, why? We'll go talk to my neighbor. Well, that neighbor had solar. So we did. We went over and knocked on the door to find out what happened. And it turns out that they hadn't been switched over to a renewable plan. They were still left on their old plan that wasn't doing a buyback.
Oh my gosh.
And so we're like, hey, we're not here. We're not going to make any money. We don't want your, nothing. All we want to do is help you. So let's take a look at what we can do. I have a contact. Let's get you switched over and you'll be getting 100% dollar for dollar net metering. And it just had to do with getting that person on the right plan.
You see, everybody, even Leesa is getting doors slammed in her face, right? Like it's okay.
Yeah, it happens. And I'm not that intimidating, it's like, what? I just pick myself up and go on to the next one.
Hey, speaking of the next one, we have some comments, some questions they want to ask you particularly. First one is from Vincent Marquez Jr. He's new to sales and he wants to know, this is a little confusing. So if you don't understand the question, you can just make up your own question to it. But he wants to know, what are your thoughts in solar in regards to thinking differently, being a little unrealistic, but still being honest and realistic with yourself each day? If that makes sense, LOL.
Let me see. What are your thoughts in solar in regards to thinking differently? The only thing that I can think differently with solar is I'd much rather have it on my roof than pay an electric bill to electric company.
I think he's saying like if I just think that solar is going to be so amazing, do I have to think it's so amazing? Can I just really be realistic about it? But I think it's amazing, so I don't know if you can answer that.
Okay, yeah. So what's the buy-in? You're asking, do I have to be personally bought into solar and have that personal belief?
Oh, with yourself. Oh, so you have the experience enough to help the homeowner. Okay, now I get it.
Okay, and then you're looking, because you're new, you're kind of not really understanding if it's really going to work or not, right? So for me, this is important. I love this question, and I think I want to try and answer it the best way that I can. Everything that I've ever sold in my entire life, I had to be passionate about. I was selling fleet safety and training, which was saving lives and reducing accidents and injuries. I was incorporating, leadership training for companies, and I was selling gourmet food and helping American manufacturers grow their businesses, right? So I felt like I need to have something. What can I feel passionate about this next chapter in my life that I can really get behind and feel passionate about? And so when somebody told me the solar industry, I literally did get chills, like goosebumps. And I thought, wow, that sounds so cool. I want to learn about this and how can it help homeowners and how can it help society? And so I did some research, Vincent, and I realized that, people are tied to a utility bill. I don't know if you rent a home or if you're in an apartment or if you own a house. If you're able to get solar, put it on your own roof. Again, not every roof qualifies. We understand that. But then also understand too, when you look at the research, I'm not going to get into the politics of climate change and all of this stuff, but from a pollution standpoint, I've been in countries, I've been in cities to where people were wearing face masks as part of their day-to-day uniform way before COVID. And they were doing that because the pollution was so bad. Okay. I've told this, I was at a flight going into, I was at DFW checking into a flight to go to Melbourne, Australia. And there was a monitor for a flight to Shanghai, China that was black. And I asked the flight attendant, I said, why is that? And she said, well, because the pollution in Shanghai is so bad that the pilots cannot see to land the airplanes. Now think about that. I was going to Shanghai 5 days after arriving in Melbourne, Australia, so it was really important to me. And everybody, 100% of the population, there was a shortage of face masks. People were covering up their heads. They were afraid to go outside. I had a free weekend there, and I was really looking forward to go to this Dragon Boat Festival, which is a big celebration. I didn't leave my hotel room because the pollution was so bad. And so from that standpoint, Vincent, just look at things in your life. If you don't have solar and not a lot of experience with solar, get plugged in to some of the other like chat groups. Do a little bit of research on the growth of solar, not just here in the United States or in the state that you live in, but internationally as well, because people are looking for better ways to produce electricity. Also, other things that touch me too is the fact that there are still over half of the world's population that has no electricity. Okay. When you go into South America, and I've been there, these people don't even have a refrigerator. So they're having to buy their food every day. We take so much for granted when we walk into, I've got a fabulous Kroger. I walk in and I buy what I want, right? Everything is fresh. So electricity of the future can be delivered through solar panels. I have a friend, and she runs an orphanage, and her name is Rosemary. And she is, she was so excited too when she heard that I was in solar, because they use some solar panels so that they can have at least 1 or 2 hours of electricity to read at night. There's, go to TED Talk. There's, and type in the keyword solar and listen to what some of these people are saying and how solar is changing their lives, their worlds, their villages by what it's able to do. So solar from that. So if you can see, I've got a little bit of passion behind me. It's not just that I love solar, I know it works, it's on my roof. I went from $350 a month to basically my solar payment. But the fact that I see such amazing things happening for our future, in helping people when it comes to just basic necessities that we take for granted, food, having lights so that children can read at night, and do their homework, instead of by candlelight that can be so dangerous.
I could definitely see your passion. I could tell you that.
Okay.
I want to get to some more comments here. Joshua Moreno wants to know, is recording available? And notifications alert was weak. Yeah, it was an hour earlier today. I got a Zoom meeting afterwards. I appreciate you guys' patience. Homeowners are number one. That's always our saying on the show. Homeowners are always coming first, and then we try prioritize around that. I wanted to say awesome answer and thank you.
You're welcome, Vincent.
And Joshua, you can go to announcements, and all the replays will be there, including this one after the show. So thanks for watching, man. Appreciate you. And then another question from Ray, if you are okay, Leesa. He wants to know, What do you think is the most important thing for solar pros today to do to prepare for the future of solar?
I love that question. Thank you. Education. Just stay plugged in. Take the training, get the certifications for, Enphase and Sonova, Solar Edge. I try and, read some every day about the industry, about the future changes. I love, so if you listen to the CEO talks with, say, Jonathan Budd with Powur, where he's thinking about the future of solar. Things are changing and they're moving pretty rapidly. I had a homeowner today ask me about a solar roof. She wants to wait and get the shingles, and I have to tell her, that technology is still not where it needs to be as far as an efficiency standpoint. Your solar panels are still going to be much more productive. To the homeowner, because homeowners, you want to know that, because homeowners they're going to do their own kind of research and think that they know something just from reading on Google. So I think it's important as a solar professional to stay up to date with the technology. And I'm not a technical person by any means, but at least to be able to have that conversation. So, because, and then people ask about the different types of solar panels that are available and the different types of inverters that are available. So don't dig into the weeds, but just keep yourself educated. Maybe subscribe to some news, like a newsletter from the solar industry, and the name of it's kind of slipping my mind right now, but there's an update that I get.
She'll put it in the comments later, right, Leesa?
The what?
We'll put it in the comments later, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to skip ahead. Thank you so much. We only have a few more minutes with you, so I want to get a couple more questions, a little more of your time before you got to go. I wanted to know more about did you have any mentors or trainers that helped you as you got into solar? Who was I know you said Chris Chibangu was a mentor.
Yes, and I still use mentors, and I have a group that I communicate with on WhatsApp, where we support each other. We're solar professionals. Anywhere I've been in, for over 3 years. I've got women that have been over for 5 years. So I do use mentors. I like Chris Shabongo helped me with my former company, but then just staying plugged in to, like, okay, if you're a mentor with Powur, then you do your Mentor Monday. Do the consultant training on Tuesday, because those are great forums to ask Q&A and questions. Go to some of the pioneers and look to see who might be considered a mentor there. And then also, when you're doing you can see all the mentors in Powur just by clicking on the mentor link as you want to select somebody. You're not tied to one mentor. You can use several different others to see what style they might have. Like, I know if I get something coming up here in California, I'm going to be reaching out to Joe and I'll assign Joe as a mentor, because I'd love to work with you on something.
I'll take it.
Randy Jason up in New Jersey, because we don't have to be an expert. I mean, I consider myself pretty well versed in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, okay, and then other areas of Texas, and but I'm not an expert in California or New Jersey or some of these other areas, and I wouldn't claim to be. So I want to work with a person who's familiar with that market to make sure that I do everything correctly.
All right, Leesa, we talked a lot about solar. I want to learn a little bit more about you. I know you have some cool things about your background. Can you tell us more about some of the hobbies you do outside of solar? Especially, I know you're a 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo. Tell us more about that, please.
I am, and that's, people get kind of surprised when they hear about that. I just real quick, when I was a little girl, I loved the show called Kung Fu. All right, and it was a show that I would run home from school, and I loved the show. It was with David Carradine, and he was doing all these cool things in Western. He was from China, but this was a Western series, and he was always the good guy, right? And I loved him, and I loved what he was doing. And so I remember going to my mom and asking her, I said, Mom, I want to learn karate. And she said, girls don't do karate. She got me a pair of ballet shoes and a tutu, and I had 6 weeks of dance lessons. And then my son, fast forward, 20 some odd years later, and my son came home and he said, Mom, I just saw this demonstration at daycare. I want to take karate. And I went, oh, me too. and we signed up together.
Mother-son karate. I love it.
Yeah. So, and I was traveling a lot. I took it for more self-defense reasons. I wanted to learn self-defense. But then I went from, white belt to yellow belt. And I believe you me, when we talk about writing down goals, the first time I saw like a test and there was like a black belt, I was like blown away. I'm thinking to myself in the back of my mind, I'll never be able to do that. Are you kidding me? I just want to get my yellow belt. I just want to get my orange belt. And then I kept progressing and I stuck with it. And it's one of those things we were talking about momentum earlier. You start out and you just keep going and you keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going. And, finally, it becomes, when people are doing something really well, it looks easy, right?
Yep.
Say, man, that looks easy. They don't see those 4 years of hard work that went into doing that and everything that it took to get there. And so I do have a black belt in Taekwondo. And then I started all over again. That dojo, that master closed down and moved to Fredericksburg, Texas, and opened a bed and breakfast. And now he's a chef down there. So I started all over in Tong Sudo as a white belt. And I took another 4 years to get my first degree in Tong Sudo. And then another 3 years after that to get 2 years after that to get my second degree. And then 3 more years on top of that to get my third degree. So
do not mess with Leesa Mansen, everybody.
So I love it. I'd love to see more women involved in the martial arts. And I think from a confidence standpoint, training, conditioning, just having something that you can do that you can get passionate about. So yeah, that's actually, these are some of my certificates though from various trainings. And it's cool. I got to go to Seoul, Korea on a business trip. And that's the World Taekwondo, where the Olympic team trains, is where my certificate is. And so I have a copy of it in my office, and I got to go to see the the headquarters for, a lot of people go into the country and they want to go to a museum, and I want to go see the dojo. I want to go see it.
That's awesome. You can't tell a book by its cover. That's the bottom line, all right?
Yes.
That's awesome. So I know we only have a few minutes left, but I really pride myself in trying to help newer solar pros. So before we go, do you have any advice you can give to anybody new to the solar industry starting out?
Again, just do a little bit of, align yourself with a mentor and a trainer. Don't expect to know everything. I still don't know everything, right? I'm still learning. Before you start talking to people, just talk to people. Who do you know that owns a home and pays for electricity? Who do they know that owns a home and pays for electricity? Start with the people that maybe your prior work, wherever you worked before, your doctors, the people you do business with, right? That you spend your money with. Ask them if they own a house and pay for electricity. Talk to people. So just again, don't be afraid to talk to people. Ask the questions. Don't feel like you have to know everything, right?
Perfect. That's awesome. And if anybody wants to reach out to you and connect with you, work with you, how can they reach out to you?
Oh, sure. So my phone number. Yeah, my number is 817-291-6626. And my email is my first name, which is spelled differently. It's Leesa. Thank you, Mom. Leesa. And I go by solarsunshine.earth. So Leesa at solarsunshine.earth. I'm happy to talk to anyone. Help you the best that I can. And any last thoughts is just keep an open mind. Be trainable. Be coachable. Continue to learn. Read every day. Listen to good music. There's a lot of negative, derogatory things out there. Keep positive thoughts in your mind, in what you read, and the people that you associate with. Be with people who want to encourage you, that want you to be successful.
Connect with you mornings for motivational mornings too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, 7 a.m. in Texas. I'm on that call. We haven't missed in 15 months, I want to say.
Wow.
Monday through Friday. And come on and join us for the call. Again, tomorrow we're going to wrap up the 10X, this 10X book, and then we'll start Fanatical Prospecting on Friday.
If you guys want to do Fanatical.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
going
and if
on.
anybody has any suggestions for me or any books that they like to read that's been helpful, I would love. This is a two-way thing here. I'm learning as much from you, Joe, or from other people that are dialing in. You know, so I'm happy to learn too.
So before we go, I want to mention one more time about the Solar Mastermind Conference in Dallas. If you guys haven't signed up yet, go to solarmastermindcon.com. We're going to be getting trainings out there. I can tell you myself, I'm going to be giving a great training, live training. I don't do very many of them, so I'm really taking my pride in doing this right. So if you haven't joined yet, you haven't signed up yet, go to solarmastermindcon.com. Sign up. Dallas, October 1st to 2nd. And on the live stream next week, we got Casey Lopez.
Yay, Casey.
He's a great solar pro from Texas. This is our Texas month we're doing here. So I'm really excited to have him on here. But Leesa, you are awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Thanks, everybody. It was my pleasure, and I feel extremely blessed for being able to participate with you. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
And I love what you're doing, Joe. Keep going. Keep doing it. You're bringing a lot to the industry.
Thank you, Leesa. Talk to you later.
Okay.